Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of Dirt Rally 2.0 Career Mode. Today we're racing in the second race of the season. I said I was going to go to Rallycross, but I really wanted to stick with just doing Rally for now. So obviously we're just going to continue with the Rally Career Mode and see where it goes. Obviously, in the first episode, we struggled quite a bit, and I was hoping we were going to make some improvements in this episode as we got ready to start my second event. And this track was a pretty narrow, tight racetrack, or rally, sorry, not racetrack. I'm used to saying racetrack because of the NASCAR career mode. But it was certainly a big challenge. It's probably the most challenging track I have been, or course I have been dealt with so far, as we got pretty open track in the first episode that we did, and then we're thrown into this course here, which you can see very early on just how tight this course is. We got obviously all these rocky mountain areas here on my left hand side, and it was just really being about being technical and just not making mistakes, because if you make a mistake here, you're either going into these rocks or you're going off the side of the cliff and you're gonna die after rolling over 27 times. So it was certainly intimidating, to say the least. In the end of this course, you get out into the more open area. I think we're actually just working our way down a hill to get down to the bottom of this mountain and then, you know, get into the more open area. But I was certainly immediately doing a bit better than I had in the first episode. As you can clearly see, I'm actually not driving like trash right now, so it was certainly nice to not suck as we came through about almost closing in on the halfway point of our first stage. It's pretty dark through this area. Actually, I could have turned the lights on, but I decided not to. But we got to the point where we were working our way to the bottom of this mountain, and it's starting to open up just a little bit for myself now as we approach out of the mountainous area. And at this point, we were actually the class leader, so doing a half-decent job at this point in the stage. And this is obviously the point where we worked our way to the bottom of the mountain into the more open area, more maybe forgiving area. Now, as we come towards the last part, though, of our stage, we would actually, I believe, maybe lose the class lead as we come through to cross the line. We would set a 3-minute 24-second time as we come to stop by the marshal, and we actually got second in the stage just by over a second off. So a solid start to this event, and I was hoping that we could continue this momentum on to the next event. And by the time we came in to the second stage, it was actually going to be some treacherous conditions as we were dealt with. As you can see, some heavy rain. For the first time in Dirt Rally 2.0, I actually raced in rain. It's heavy rain and it's kind of dark outside, so maybe a little bit of a new challenge for myself I was being dealt with here. This is a fairly lengthy stage as we took the green flag, though now in the more mountainous area once again. And I was just really going to be careful in this stage. I probably wasn't going to have the best result in this stage. I kind of went into it knowing that. I mean, this is certainly some conditions I've never dealt with in this game. I've dealt with rain, obviously, in other racing games, with Project Cars 2, the original Project Cars, and Formula 1 as well. Now, as we come in through the hairpin, just being as careful as I can, but I'm trying to be carefully aggressive. Obviously, I want to at least still have a shot at maybe winning this stage, as we haven't won a stage since the first one we did in episode 1 now, as we kind of make a mistake there, go a little bit wide off course, but fortunately we do get back on the course without having any issues now, as we're just slipping and sliding around. Certainly a very rough surface that we're racing on. This is probably the roughest surface I have raced on so far in this game. Now, as we come through the 5 left into the hairpin, on the right hairpin, going into a 1 left next. So I've certainly gotten down the whole number callouts, but the only thing I really don't understand is like that 30 with the line under it. I'm not really sure what those mean. I think I've seen some with the 60, and I'm not sure yet what those mean, but fortunately, or hopefully, I will be able to figure it out shortly now. As you can see, we sit 11th at the moment in this stage, and we would come closer to just past a quarter way into the stage, almost 3 minutes in, still about 5th as we come into the one right up ahead now, as we're just continuing to keep the car in good shape, just keep it clean as I'm trying to manage my way through this treacherous conditions in this rough course. and I would end up hitting a few things here and there, and I would certainly pick up a little bit of damage throughout the rest of the stage. You see, we come towards the later half of the stage. You see, I've picked up a little bit of front end damage as the hood is flopping up and down just a little bit here and there, but fortunately it's not falling off. Now as we come through the left-hander going into a 5 right and then a 6 left, and then that will carry over into the 1 right, but we just continue to keep it as clean as possible. Now working our way through the later stages of this course now, as I've certainly at this point fallen off a little bit, but I actually closed it back up a little bit, but it's certainly looking like we're not going to be winning the stage as we come past the 8-minute mark now in the final section of the second stage of this event. Certainly closing in on the class leader, but it does not look like we're going to have enough time, obviously, to get to him now as we come into the hairpin up ahead, and the left hairpin, just slowly nursing my way through there into the 4 right, and then we got the 50, whatever that means, now as we come into the 6 right as well up ahead. But you see the class leader, he's closing in on the finish, pulling away as this is really the fastest I was able to drive the car through here. That's probably the highest speeds we reached throughout this whole stage, but fortunately we're having a much better run than I expected in this event. When I saw the way this course was, I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be really rough, but fortunately we come through here to complete the second stage of this event and get out of here with a decent finish at least. Certainly could have been better for sure, but I was pretty satisfied with it now as we stop by the marshal. And like I said, yeah, great effort in 8 minutes, 53 seconds, just under 9 minutes. So, like I said, I was fairly satisfied with it. We did lose the right front headlight, but obviously we just finished the second stage. So we will be going to the service area here now as we sit 5th in that stage. The overall, I guess, stuff, I think we're 5th overall maybe, but certainly we can improve, hopefully. No, we're 3rd overall, so we are now just only 3 seconds behind the overall class lead, so hopefully we can maybe pick up those 3 seconds as we would repair the car. Obviously some bodywork to be repaired, and that was really all we needed to fix. Even though we had a broken headlight, I was surprised we didn't have an option to fix the lights in the car, but that would obviously transition us into the 3rd stage of 4 in this event, and certainly it's going to be an intimidating one as we will be racing in the nighttime. Like I said in the first episode, it's night racing in this game is certainly intimidating. Probably the most intimidating experience I've had with nighttime racing in a video game, because they did such a good job with the nighttime in this game. Obviously, I've raced in nighttime with Project Cars. It's probably as close as it gets to the feeling of this game, but certainly this game blows any other game out of the water when it comes to nighttime racing, and the feel of just kind of how uncomfortable it is knowing that, look, you can barely see, at this point you can barely see ahead of me. You can maybe see, I don't know, 25 feet maybe up ahead, and other than that it's just about pitch dark or pitch black. So it's certainly a very uncomfortable feeling. Even though we got the call-outs coming from my co-driver, it's certainly, you don't really still know exactly what's coming on this course when it's nighttime. So I was just working my way carefully through this course, obviously through this stage, trying to not make too many mistakes. As we make the first mistake there, as I get up on the left-hand side of the track and just lose traction completely and spin the car out, and that was really the first major mistake I had made in this event. And of course it would be when it's nighttime, but fortunately we would regroup and keep going, but certainly kind of just blew this stage away when it comes to maybe winning it. But this is certainly a short course, so that is even worse because it gives us even less time to make up for the screw up I just made. And even though I made one mistake, I'm still decided, you know, we gotta push hard here and try my best to gain the time that I just lost, as this is, like I said, a very short course. We're already closing in on the halfway point at this time when we're not even a minute and a half into this stage, so certainly not a lot of time for this course now as we come through the left, or the 6th left now, a pretty long 6th left actually, as we come out of there getting a little squirrely. And as we came into the later parts of this course, I would continue to keep the car relatively clean throughout the rest of this stage as we come through the hairpin now, as we just about get real sideways, but fortunately hang on to it as we come into a 2 left and then into a 1 right. So we're certainly slowing up quite a bit now, as we also have a hairpin left coming up as we just barely get into the rocks there, as I lost a lot of traction on the exit there. Now as we come through the hairpin to end the stage, this time right here in a few moments, as we come through the 1 right. Now we come out of the corner just trying to give as much throttle as I can as we smash into the sign there on the left, for the finish, so certainly not what I meant to do, but fortunately we come out of there with a 3:42, which is not a very good effort by myself, but hopefully we can maybe make up for it in this final stage now, as yeah, like I said, we hit a 3:42, and I'm not 100% sure where we got in the stage. It certainly couldn't have been good. Yeah, it was 20 seconds, so that was very rough for myself, as we would fall down to 8th as we went into this final stage. Now here, as we get ready to go, this is probably about a similar length one as the last stage was. But obviously this is our last chance to make up any time, being the last stage now, as we come into a one left just up ahead here now, trying to really make up for the time I lost. So I was going to try and race a bit aggressive here as we come into the one right, and certainly at this point I was feeling pretty comfortable with the car and how I've done, because like we haven't been perfect in this episode, and I said, you know, these first few episodes, maybe a handful of episodes, I'm going to struggle because this is such a new type of or form of racing for myself. But I was certainly feeling a lot more comfortable in this episode because I was clearly showing improvement. Like I said, not perfect, but we're certainly improving, and that's really what matters right now. Is if I keep working at it, we can certainly be a threat maybe in this championship, as right now we do actually have the class lead as we come through to complete the first section of this course in just under 1 minute. So certainly showing a good pace right now as we continue to lead the class, over 5 seconds ahead of second place now, as we have a 5 left and a 6 right up ahead, which will lead into a hairpin. And now as we get slowed up going into this hairpin, don't want to screw anything up right now, as I'm just trying to make it to the finish without making too many mistakes, as we've had a really good start to this final stage of this event as we come into the left hairpin, which we will be approaching a 6 left and a 1 left up ahead now as we close in on the midway point, as we make our first mistake of the stage getting into the rocks there, but fortunately we barely get any damage at all, and we are able to continue into the 2 left and into the 6 right, as we sit now 9 seconds ahead of second place as we start the final half of the final stage here in this event now, as we get into a little bit more of a high speed area, getting close to 100 mile an hour as we close in on the hairpin, going once again wide, making a bit of another mistake. So I started making mistakes here later in this stage, and that's obviously not what I need to be doing now as we come up on the bridge, getting through there pretty nicely. So fortunately I always get a little bit intimidated coming up on the bridges, because I know if I make a mistake I'm just going to slide right into one of the big like beams here on our left and right and end up screwing everything up. But fortunately we get over both bridges with no problems at all as we close in to start this third section of the course, as we get real sideways. But fortunately we hang on to the car with now a 12-second lead over the class leader now, as we close in on the final parts of this course and the final parts of this event, as we come into the 2 right and the 1 left now, as we're just trying to maintain this gap into the 1 right, just doing a good job in the final parts of this event, as we have a very technical area for sure through the to end this event, as we are getting a lot of 2s and 1 corners now as we come across the bridge. I believe that's the final bridge we come across now, once again into a 2 right and a 1 left. And honestly, I think the technical parts of these courses are my favorite, as it really can take, or really show the skill you have now, as we make a mistake as we slide into the left beam of the bridge. And fortunately, we keep the car out of too much trouble as we close in on the finish of this stage. Fortunately, we didn't get too much damage, and we would come through to win our second career stage, and over 11 seconds ahead of second place as we come through to stop by the marshal. I don't think it's going to be enough to win the event. Obviously, after the third stage was just so rough on me that it really set us back. In 11 seconds we made up, I guess, there at least, but I don't think it's going to be enough now, as we didn't get a penalty there, so that was fortunate for myself, as we would get 3rd overall and 16 seconds behind. So I think we had 5th overall in our first event, and now we get 3rd overall in our second event. So hopefully we can maybe jump up another 2 spots to 1st in the next event, as we close in on the halfway point already of this series, and we'll be moving up another series next season. Obviously, I just want to keep climbing the ladder to the faster cars, the more intimidating, harder to drive cars, possibly. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very, very appreciated. I'd like to thank you guys all for taking the time out of your day to watch one of my videos, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you guys then. Have yourselves a great day.